Maria back with another video, and I am getting ready to curl my hair with rollers. I use the flexi rods, and I don't really want anyone to see me as I'm looking sort of kind of goofy, in the camera, so I decided to kind of like focus my camera instead of my medicine cabinet. But, I was thinking a lot today about the role of women in society and how society tries to make up the mind of what a woman's supposed to do, what she's supposed to think, what she's supposed to wear, how she's supposed to live. And I have to say that it is definitely a man's world. I don't know why. Like, for example, I was given a few part-time jobs, one part-time job in a pharmacy in Oildale, California, for those people who aren't in the Bakersfield area. And, I get the feeling that people make this life decision because they thought, well, she needs to stay home and she needs to do this or whatever. Whatever the reasons were, they have no right to decide what kind of jobs I work. But it seems like people immediately assume a woman's supposed to do a certain thing. Now, I would say I am all girly girl, okay? I love being a woman. And if reincarnation is true, I'm going to say, you know what, I don't have control over anything, but if I can get the word out to God, please make me a woman again, okay, because I love being a woman. But there's a lot of restrictions that get put on us that I'm just tired of, Like, for example, I was talking earlier about, makeup and when you wear something. Can a woman just enjoy color? Can't she just enjoy a nice outfit? Can't she just enjoy, makeup? Or can't she just enjoy, I don't get facials, but some women get facials, the whole 9 yards. Can't she just enjoy those things for herself? Is everything that we do supposed to revolve around the man? Now, don't get me wrong. I've had my issues with men in the past, meaning I've noticed that they tend to try to put women in little boxes sometimes, and I think it's more for their enjoyment, meaning, we're going to put you in this role, or maybe you're supposed to, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of chauvinism that goes on, and please don't think I'm trying to be political. I'm just telling the truth, okay? And I'm not trying to pick at anybody or trying to raise hell, but, it really irritates me that people think that I'm supposed to do a certain thing. I raised my child. I don't have any children at home. My son has moved back home, but I'm not really responsible for him. He's over the age of 18. But I did a video, I think it was last summer, or maybe, I don't know how long it's been. I've been ranting about this issue for a very long time. But I remember talking about how I personally believe that putting people in these, forcing people into these roles, these little boxes for women, sometimes could have deadly results. I mentioned, not that I'm like that, but, I mentioned Andrea, I think her name, Andrea Yates, and the other lady, people pressuring people to have kids, people pressuring them to, be a good mommy and whatnot, and maybe that just wasn't for them, Don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful that I raised a child, but, that's just not for me, and what I mean by that is, like, I don't want to live that kind of life. That's not what I want, I think kids are cute. I think they're adorable. But, and that's exactly what I think. I think they're cute and they're cuddly. And when I see them in town, I always smile at them. I'm the kind of person who spoils kids. Like, if I was babysitting them, I'm tempted to give them all the candy that they want. Okay, because I just adore kids. I think they're adorable. But I don't want that responsibility. I don't want to be forced into a motherly role, because I don't feel as though, at this age anyway, number one, I'm tired, okay? I mean, kids run around all the time. I don't have time to, run around and chase them. But I think a lot of women feel this way. I think a lot of women instinctively know that they would not be good in that role, but somebody's always forcing them into that. And it's a bad idea, Even though we live in the United States of America, and we look at countries that oppress women, I would have to say the American society is no different. I mean, we don't stone women to death, okay? But what we do is we ostracize women that we don't think are living up to certain ideals. We tend to look down on them, judge them. If they're not, for example, if a woman's living by herself, she's looked down upon or whatever without even knowing the whole situation. And I really wish it would stop. You know, I really wish that would end. But of course, that's never going to end. I mean, there's always going to be, you know, somebody trying to dictate the lives of other people. But I'm just tired of it. Okay. Now I do know that in my situation, a lot of it has to do with race. But I think a lot of it has to do with me being a woman and people wondering, you know, how come she left, you know, back in 2000, I think I left in 2006. No, I left town here in 2007 until 2009. Came back in 2009. And, you know, without knowing everything, and they're going to judge some people on that sort of thing, and it's wrong. It's wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong, my husband doesn't beat me, okay? But you never know what goes on behind closed doors, and people are sitting here, it's always the woman's fault, you know? It's always the woman's fault. It's wrong. It's really wrong. You know, I was watching a good video on, I think it was called The Stoning of Soraya M. It's a really good movie. You can see it on YouTube. I might post a link to at least the first part. I had to watch it in sections. And, you know, not to say that this woman was innocent, such as me, but but what I noticed in this movie is the mob mentality. I noticed how people that she thought she could trust turned on her and were more than happy to stone her to death. And like I said, you look at people, even though we live in a country that we're supposed to be free, we still have this belief that we should punish women, we should ostracize them, which is a slower form of death. At least these people put these people to death quickly, okay? They don't fuck around with, you know, their employment. They don't throw them out. They don't ostracize them. They don't make their lives a living hell. So I would say that in some ways, stoning to death is a lot more humane than the behavior that a lot of people actually exhibit and how they treat women here in American society. Don't say, that's not to say that I think stoning's right, because I don't. So don't put words in my mouth. I'm just saying is, you know, why would you make somebody suffer and hurt somebody like that? It's wrong. I don't want people making life decisions for me. And I know that I believe my husband's mother has made a life decision for me, and, you know, I don't really appreciate that, and she needs to stay the hell out of my business. As far as my family, they don't have any right to make those decisions either. Nobody does. And to oppress somebody and take away something that belongs to them is wrong. It's just wrong. So anyway, I want to do a video on hair because I got these flexi rods. I've been using them for quite a while. My hair doesn't hold curls, you know. My hair can, if I do curl it, like with a curling iron, it'll stay like curled for like maybe 10 minutes, and then when I walk out the door, it's instant frizz. With, what do you call it? Curling rods, it just lasts a while. I think that was the best invention ever made. Okay, these rods are just amazing. But anyway, I will probably do a video on hair later. I've been saying that for a while, and it's kind of fun. I've seen a lot of other black women do hair videos, and some of them I just find them like hypnotic, and I can just watch them over and over again. Some of them are just amazing. But anyway, that was my thought, you know, on women and how we're forced in these little boxes, and we're too much stress put on women in the first place, okay? And then making these sort of decisions for them is just absolutely wrong. I am a woman who wants to stand on my own. I don't want anybody aligning themselves with me, forcing me into their way of living, because that's just not for me, you know. And I would never want to model my life after my husband's mother. God, no. And I certainly, you know, hey, I love my mom, but, you know, my mom was a housewife, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But that's not for me. That's not something I ever wanted to do. When I was little, I thought that was the world I was supposed to live in, you know. And but as I got older, I'm like, you know, it's just not for me. I don't want to be at home. I don't want to tend to the house. I mean, I clean my house, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that I want to do as a wife. You know, I have goals. I have things I have dreams, and these people just ran all over them like it didn't matter, you know. For this, when people start to invade or trying to manipulate my life, that once again is unforgivable to me. And I mean, I can't overlook that, you know, because I value my freedom more than I value anything else. Okay, and for somebody to do something like that is just plain wrong. Then the only thing I'm really guilty of is lying to my husband. That's not gossip. That's the damn truth. Okay, I did. But that's between he and I. And it's not between anyone else. Yeah, I can understand his mom being a little pissed off about it, but it's not that big of a deal, and she could have said something to me. This shows her racism. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and like I said, these videos are very therapeutic for me. I just got to talk it out. I have to say it, because it's not healthy for somebody to bottle all this up inside them. It's not healthy for them to go through this anger and this just rage, And I do fully understand how some people go postal, and I'm not going to do that. But I truly do believe, and there was a guy who did a video recently, he was talking about how perps deserve it. I'm going to say, yeah, they do. They do deserve it. Because this is something, this is your life. I'm putting restrictions on people, and some people might think, well, how come you're just procrastinating. I'm terrified to go out there and look for a job. You know why? Because I'm afraid I'm going to either be in the presence of some weird religious freak who thinks that they have God on their side, which they don't, and they're going to sit here and harass me, or they're going to sit here and harass me over some bullshit, okay? I'm not the one at fault here, is what I'm saying, okay? And these people, these so-called bullshit, fake Christians that I'm so damn tired of, and I really wish, I have nothing against true Christianity, but this kind of Christianity, I wish they would outlaw it. I wish they would. And in some ways it is kind of outlawed because, you're not supposed to discriminate against religion. You're not supposed to do these sort of things. Of course, people do it anyway, but I wish that this sort of practice, this so-called, Christianity, this hypocrisy, would be outlawed. I really wish it would. I wish these people would be thrown in jail because I think that they're that destructive to society. And, of course, they're destructive towards women. I know that, they always tend to lean on oppressing women and treating women, whether they realize it or not, It's hypocrisy, and I'm just tired of it. So, anyway, wrapping up this video. Have a wonderful evening.